Hello students, in last lecture of the shock, that is in the first part, we have been saying what do by the definition of the shock, then the what is the shock, then the classification of the shock. In the classification of the shock, we have been saying the shock has been classified into two types, that is primary shock and secondary shock. Last time we have been saying what were the primary shock and their types. In today's lecture, we will discuss about the secondary shock and the diagnosis of the shock and the general management of shock. So we'll go for the secondary shock. The secondary shock means what? This is the type of the shock where the shock occurs due to the pre-existing condition. Pre-existing condition, and it is secondary to that condition. It's called as the secondary shock. The secondary shock is of the 6 types. These are number 1, hypovolemic shock, second, cardiogenic shock, third, traumatic shock, fourth, burn shock, fifth, septic shock, and the sixth one is anaphylactic shock. We'll see one by one these shocks are there. The first one, the hypovolemic shock. The hypovolemic shock is a type of the secondary shock, and this shock occurs due to hypovolemia, means decrease of volume of the blood, which will lead into decreased cardiac output and will causes the decrease in peripheral circulation or the collapse in peripheral circulation and result into the shock. Now, why is hypovolemia there? There are various causes of the hypovolemia. The hypovolemia or the decreased blood volume occurs due to either loss of the vital fluid, that is the plasma fluid, as in case of the burn. Hypovolemia occurs due to the loss of the water, either due to the vomiting, diarrhea, as in case of the cholera, both vomiting and the diarrhea. It may occurs due to the dehydration, then in case of the sunstroke, and that leads into decrease the volume of the blood and decrease cardiac output. And development of the shock is there as a result of collapse of peripheral circulation. In a hypovolemic shock, this hypovolemic shock will get corrected by the first, the restoration of the volume of the blood, and second, a treatment of the cause. Restoration of volume of the blood can be done by primarily supplementation of the eye fluid or infusion of the eye fluid, different eye fluids, or in arrangement of supplementation of the vital fluid like plasma, and the volume can be restored. And after the restoration of the volume, cardiac output is restored, and person will become out from the restored from the shock, and then have to go for the treatment of the cause. What are that? Typhoid, treatment of the typhoid, treatment of the vomiting, treatment of the cholera, whatever that should be done, and the patient will be treated. So that is hypovolemic shock. This is due to hypovolemia. Then second is cardiogenic shock. It is also type of the secondary shock. The cardiogenic cardio refer to the heart, and genic means generated out due to the abnormality into the heart, or cause of the shock is in the heart. When the cardiogenic shock occurs if there is more than 50% of the myocardial damage of left ventricle due to myocardial infarction, where the left ventricle is failure to pump the blood to maintain the cardiac output and systemic circulation, and that will result into the collapse of peripheral circulation. Here in cardiogenic shock there will be the cardiomegaly, and where the heart is failed to pump the blood, and which result into the shock. It's called a cardiogenic shock. In cardiogenic shock, the proper investigation and management and treatment of the damage in the heart is important, isn't it? And before that, while managing the patient doesn't allow to move much more, allow to rest in bed, and the proper treatment under the guidance of the cardiologist should be carried out. That is a cardiogenic shock. Then the traumatic shock. The traumatic shock is another type of the secondary shock. Traumatic shock, here cause is the trauma. Cause is the trauma. Unit trauma doesn't cause the traumatic shock, the trauma to the vital organs. Like the trauma to the heart directly, penetrating injury, trauma to the lungs, trauma to the kidney, or trauma to the brain. That will cause the traumatic shock. Means when these vital organs get injured or damaged by the trauma, they are failed to perform their functions and the whole systems will fail. The result into the shock is called as the traumatic shock. You understood? Then we will go further. Burn shock. Burn shock means what? The cause is the burn, and due to burn is the resultant of the shock. Patient goes into life-threatening situation. This shock occurs in cases of burn above the 30% or the 40%. Above 30% or 40%, patient have the chance to go into the shock. And in here, in burn shock, 3 types of the shock occurs. Here, one may be, the first one is a psychogenic, second hypovolemic, and the third one is septic. Septic shock. In burn case, cause is the burn, but in the due to occurrence of the burn or in cases of the burn, 3 types of the shock may occur. First psychogenic, second hypovolemic, and third is a septic shock. The psychogenic shock occurs in the burn due to 2 things are there. One is due to fear, and second due to severe pain, patient goes into the shock. Hypovolemic shock, in case of the burn, hypovolemic shock occurs due to the loss of the plasma. Loss of the plasma. When the burn occurs and there is what? Effusion blister forms and the plasma effuses from the blood under the skin causing the blister, which results into hypovolemia causing decrease the cardiac output and then the shock. Third one, the septic shock. This shock is also more common in case of the burn. In case of the burn, where the burn wounds are likely to get infected, especially they will infect anaerobic bacteria, and that will cause the septicemia or sepsis in the body and will result into the septic shock. Septic shock will discuss later how it occurs there. So, in cases of the burn, the 3 types of the shock occurs. So, shock occurs due to these 3 causes are there. Do you understood? And you have to manage according to these shocks. Then, septic shock. The septic shock, the shock which occurs due to infection, due to sepsis, this is also called as endotoxic shock. Septic shock is also called endotoxic because the shock occurs due to a liberation of endotoxins in the body, and this reaction from the body to the endotoxins and will result into the shock. It's called septic shock. Septic shock, it is type of the secondary shock which occurs due to infection, due to sepsis. Most example is that most important is the intestinal infection caused by the Clostridium balceri or E. coli. So, E. coli. The septic shock is of the 2 types. One is warm septic shock, and second is the cold septic shock. Cold septic shock. The warm septic shock is also called as a hyperdynamic shock. Hyperdynamic shock. Remember, this is only shock in which there is no hypovolemia and no decreased cardiac output. But still capillary circulation collapse. SCR is low. This is shock where it is a type of the septic shock in which the cardiac output is normal. Cardiac output is normal. Blood pressure may be normal, but there is decreased SVR, isn't it? Systemic vascular resistance will be very low. So that's why blood remains into peripheral circulation, maybe due to the vasodilation. The clinical features of the warm septic shock is the cardiac output is normal, urine output may be normal or subnormal but not decreased. There is no anuria. The patient have fever. The skin is warm. Isn't it? There may be the tachycardia, isn't it? So these are the typical clinical features of the septic shock. But apart from this, patient will have the difficulty in breathing, feeling of the anxiety, uneasiness, feeling of something going wrong in the body. That are the features of the warm septic shock. And from warm septic shock or the hyperdynamic shock, patient can be recover or easily or fast. But second type of the shock is a cold septic shock. The cold septic shock, it is type of the septic shock where there is a decreased cardiac output. First of all, it occurs in an advanced condition, or this warm septic shock is not managed, it returns into the cold septic shock. In which there is a decreased cardiac output, low SVR also, there is a bradycardia. This anuria means decreased urine output also, means it indicating that GFR has been decreased due to decreased circulation or collapse of peripheral circulation. And here in this condition, the skin of the person or the patient or subject is a calm, cold, with the bradycardia. Remaining symptoms of the uneasiness, difficulty breathing, lack of oxygen, all these are the same as in warm septic shock. So what is difference between warm and cold septic shock? The first of all, in warm septic shock, the cardiac output may be maintained. Skin is warm but low SVR, tachycardia, no anuria, no urine part may be the normal or the subnormal. While in cold septic shock, the decreased cardiac output, low SVR, skin calm, cold, anuria, and the bradycardia. So these are the difference in between the warm and the cold septic shock. Whenever patient with cold septic shock, it is a dangerous, it is a serious condition. First of all, while managing it, first of all we have to convert this into the warm septic shock and then the restore. It can be done by using the antitoxins, by neutralizing toxins causing the shock, then giving the proper antibiotic, restriction of the volume, maintenance of the cardiac output. So this is the septic shock. This cold septic shock also called as a hypodynamic septic shock, and this is called a hyperdynamic septic shock. Then the sixth type of the anaphylactic shock. Anaphylactic shock means what? This is the shock which occurs due to anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis, it is reaction from the subject to some allergens. This shock occurs due to reaction by the immune system of the person towards the allergic substances which had been ingested by the person or person had exposure to that. For example, or you can say causes of this anaphylactic shock, that's what? Ingestion of penicillin, shellfish, or any other drug substances to which the person have the allergy. Isn't it? In this, there is a reaction of the immune systems to these allergens are there, causing the release of the SRS, through releasing substance, which causes the peripheral vasodilatation and decreased cardiac output. Decreased cardiac output. That's called anaphylactic shock. The treatment of the anaphylactic shock, you have to do antidote for that allergens or anti-allergens or antidote for that, and the restoration of the volume and increased cardiac output. So all these are the types of the septic shock: primary shock and the secondary shock. They understood? There are the 3 primary shock and the 6 secondary shock. Then we go for seeing the diagnosis. In short, the diagnosis of the shock. Criteria for diagnostic criteria. Criteria for shock. The shock can be diagnosed by first clinical examination, second special investigations, investigations. These are, in clinical examinations, you can take pulse, temperature, and the blood pressure. Blood pressure. Blood pressure. So usually in all cases there is a bradycardia, except in the warm cases. A warm septic shock. In warm septic shock, where there is tachycardia. In all cases, the decreased cardiac output and the decreased cardiac activity, there is a bradycardia. Pulse is low. Rate is decreased. While temperature in all septic shock, all shock except the warm septic shock, temperature is low. Temperature low. While in warm septic shock, temperature is high. There may be the off fever. Blood pressure in all shock, the blood pressure is low. Blood pressure is low. Regarding pulse may be the slow, rate slow, volume decrease. Sometimes patient may be the pulseless. That is, by clinical examination we can suspect there is a shock there. Then special investigations, there is ECG, electrocardiogram, 2D echo, and the CDP and the PCWP. By ECG, we can know the cardiac activity. Either the ventricular and atrial contractions are proper or not. And ventricular muscles are contracting properly or not. Whole cardiac muscles are properly contracted or not. That can be known by the ECG. 2D echo, in cases of the cardiologist, it will help to the diagnose or to come to know the damage in the myocardium, that what kind of damage is there and what extent of the damage, how much damage is to be, that can be known by the 2D echo. CP, central venous pressure, that can be measured in the jugular vein, that indicating if the central venous pressure falls, then indicating patient deteriorating, and if the CP, central venous pressure, if it is increasing, it indicates patient will be restored that. Then PCWP. PCWP means what? Pulmonary capillary wedge pressure. Pulmonary capillary wedge pressure. Pulmonary capillary wedge pressure. This test can be done by inserting the catheter into the pulmonary capillaries, and this will help us to diagnose either is a right heart failure or the left heart failure. Right heart failure or the left heart failure. Isn't it? This can be differentiated by or known by the PCWP. If pulmonary capillary wedge pressure is increased, if pulmonary capillary wedge pressure is increased, it indicating the left heart failure. Left heart failure. Why? Because in case of left heart failure, the blood from the right side of the heart or the right ventricle will be ejected into the pulmonary capillary bed. But from left ventricle, it will not be either decreased or will not be ejected into systemic circulation. It will cause back pressure into the pulmonary capillary bed. That's why this pulmonary capillary bed pressure gets increased. And from that we can know there is a left ventricular failure. If, on the other hand, if the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure decreased, it indicating there is a right heart failure or right ventricular failure. Because left may be ejecting the blood properly, but right is not ejecting that much into the pulmonary capillary bed. So that's why there is a fall in the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure. So this is in short, we can make the diagnosis of the shock from this. Prognosis. Prognosis in shock. Prognosis in shock can be known by the examining or recording three things are there: T, P, R, and the Fourth one is urine output. Urine output. Urine output. That TPI, temperature, pulse, respiration, and then urine output. Of course, blood can be also recorded. So first, the temperature. If the person is improving, the temperature will become the normal, and if patient is deteriorating, the temperature will be the decreasing. There, patient becomes more and more cold because due to lack of circulation, collapse of circulation. Second, pulse. If the pulse becoming weak, getting weak and weak pulse, very slow, very weak, it indicating that person is deteriorating. And if the pulse coming to the normal, both, all, rate, volume, tension, all if it is normal there, then it will get a coming towards normal, it indicates the patient is recovering. We can make this such a prognosis. Respiration. If the respiration breathing normal, oxygen saturation is normal there, that indicating person is restorating. But if there is a decreased oxygen saturation, difficult breathing, then it indicating that patient is deteriorating, not recovering. Similarly, in our urine output, if decreased urine output or anuria, that indicating the patient is deteriorating. Prognosis is the bad, and if urine output is improving, it indicating that patient is improving, because the urine output will improve if the systemic circulation improves. If the kidney get if the systemic circulation increases, the kidney will get the proper blood supply, GFR will get increase. And if contrary, if the peripheral circulation is not restored, cardiac output is not restored, peripheral circulation is not restored, the kidney will get the less blood supply, or renal circulation gets decreased, which will cause lowering in the GFR, will result into the decreased urine output. So decreased urine, it is what? Indicating patient is deteriorating. Increased urine output indicating patient is improving. From that we can make the prognosis of the patient. You understood? So you have to make the diagnosis and the prognosis. Either patient is deteriorating, worsening the condition, or improving. Then we go for the general management of the shock. General management of the shock. General management of shock. The particular shock will have the particular management. Now we are going to see the general, any type of the shock. If the patient comes any type of shock, what should be the general management? So first you should know our aim. Aim is what? The restoration of the volume and improve the cardiac output. Restoration of volume and maintenance of cardiac output. So it should be oriented, irrespective of the cause. Whatever the cause. The first aim is the restoration of the volume and maintain the cardiac output. If you restore the volume and maintain the cardiac output, it will improve the peripheral circulation. If peripheral circulation improve, so patient will become stable, and it will give a time us to restore it completely from that shock to treat the cause of it. Now how we can restore the volume and maintain the cardiac output? It can be done by various ways. The first supplementation of, or the transfusion of IV fluids. Transfusion of the IV fluids. Depending upon the cause, you can transfuse the IV fluids are there. If there is a severe dehydration, you have to give the electrolyte, isn't it? Either RL or this irregular lactate or this. Then if there is what? Due to vomiting or the loose motions, you can use the general salines also, normal salines, DNS, D5, isn't it? If there is a bond, it can be transfused the plasma. But in cases of the bond, in loss of the hemorrhage, isn't it? So there may be the time to collect this blood and make the plasma and blood available. So you can be start the transfusion of the IV fluids are there. It's a different IV fluids can be used. Second, then if it is possible to make arrangement, They're giving the a frozen plasma. Yeah, you can say the transfusion of the plasma. Transfusion of plasma. In cases of the burn. Transfusion of plasma in case of the burn. In cases of burn. The third, transfusion of blood. Transfusion of the blood. In cases of the hypovolemic shock due to loss of the blood. Remember, the add one cause into the hypovolemic shock, that is the loss of the blood, hemorrhages. It may also cause the hypovolemic shock. In case of the hypovolemic shock which is caused due to the loss of the blood, either acute or the chronic loss, you have to do the blood transfusion there. Then in cases of the shock which occurs due to the vasodilatation, in many of the cases you have seen, this vasodilatation, you can use the vasoconstrictor drugs. Vasoconstrictor drugs, isn't it? So if you give vasoconstrictor, it causes the vasoconstriction, which causes increased venous return to the heart and improves the cardiac output. Then in case of anaphylactic shock, in anaphylactic shock, you have to give anti-allergens or antidote to substance due to which the allergy has been caused. Of septic shock. In case of septic shock, the use of the antitoxins and the antibiotics. Further, if a patient is diabetic, the treatment has to be done under the guidance of the dietitian. If person is a cardiogenic shock, the treatment has to be done under the guidance of or by the cardiologist, MD, cardiologist or the DM. Isn't it? So this is a general management of the shock. For particular shock, already I have been told, give a particular treatment as per the cause. The treatment of the cause, you can say the treatment of cause. Treatment of cause. So whatever causes we have been seeing of the different types of the shock, you have to give treatment according to that. But this is a general plan. First, restoration of the volume. It should be our aim. And the transfusion of eye fluids, transfusion of the plasma. You require the blood, also consider drugs. Then the antibiotic shock. So you have to give anti-allergic and the restoration of the volume. Then in case of the septic shock, you have to give antitoxins to neutralize the toxins which are released there, or toxins, and then the restoration of the volume and the antibiotics should be continued there. Then in case of this diabetic patient with the shock and the diabetes, you have to consult the dietitians and treatment should be carried under the guidance of the dietitian. Similarly, in case of the cardiogenic shock, you have to carry out the treatment under the guidance of the cardiologist, isn't it? And so this is the general management of the shock. So you understood, and watch this video carefully. Prepare yourself for the shock, isn't it? And every student has to be watch it, isn't it? If you needed more, we can make the comment after watching the complete lecture. If you need more, we can add in this. Okay, thank you.